This is a low light test with the ZV-1 and the A6400. On the A6400, well, both cameras, I have them set, they're shooting 4K 30p, 1/60th shutter speed. ISO is 12800. 12800 is the highest ISO that the ZV-1 can go in video. And so I set the A6400 also 12800, although the A6400 can go much higher than this. And since I'm using the stock lens that came with the A6400, the 16 to 50, the widest aperture is 3.5. So on the Sony ZV-1, I lowered the aperture to 3.5. So you're looking at almost equal settings, except the A6400 is an APS-C size sensor, and the ZV-1 is a 1-inch sensor. So you're basically looking at the sensor size difference, with everything else being relatively equal. The advantage with the A6400 is that if you want to have more light, you can just get a lens that can accept that's a wider aperture, like a 1.4, and also raise the ISO. So I'm going to raise the ISO on the A6400, the highest it can go in this video setting, and I believe I could do that while it's recording. Yes, I can. So now I'm raising the ISO of the A6400 to 32,000. This is 32,000 ISO, the highest it can go in video, I believe. Maybe it could go higher in a different picture profile, but this is as high as it can go. It's on autofocus, so you can see the focus shifting. And what I'll also do on the ZV-1, since the ZV-1's built-in lens can stop down or open up wider, I'm going to open the lens on the ZV-1 as wide as it can go. So right now it's at 3.5, and now I'm going to open it all the way to 1.8. So now the ZV-1 is at 1.8 at 12,800 ISO, and the A6400 is at 32,000 but at f3.5. It appears to me, just judging from the back side of these screens, the LCD screens on the camera, that the A6400 is more exposed. It's better exposed. It's having more light, but obviously the grain, it's very grainy, and it's distorting the colors. The colors aren't as accurate. And this is a very low light situation. It's not pitch black. I could see the card, the color chart card there. I could see it pretty clearly with my eyes, but the camera is amplifying the darkness here, bringing up the shadows pretty well. The picture profiles in these cameras is the first profile. I believe there's other picture profiles that I could choose that's better in low light, but I'm just choosing the one that I always use for all my other filming. I'm going to open up a window in this room and see how that adds more light and what that does to the exposure. Okay, so what I did is I just added more light. I opened up a window behind me, and that brought in a lot more light. So now I could stop down on these cameras. I'm going to bring down the A6400 ISO. I'll bring it down to ISO, let's go 3200. So this is, I would never go higher than 3200 on the A6400. So 3200 looks good. And then with the ZV-1, I'm going to bring the ISO down also to 3200. But I'm leaving the iris open to 1.8. And there you go. This is also daylight, white balance. That's what this looks like. I'll open up another window inside this room and see what that does to the exposure. Okay, now I have the lighting pretty well lit inside this room here. So now I could bring down the ISOs on both cameras to something that's not as grainy. With the ZV-1, I think 1250, ISO 1250 is about as high as I want to go on that for the best grain. And the A6400, I'll just leave it at 32 because I think 32 is fine.